Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all doing well here on this fine Wednesday morning. We're going to get started here in a few seconds. Just going to give it a few more minutes just to make sure everybody had a chance to log in. All right, I think we're going to get moving. People can come in as we are talking today. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Robyn Rowan, and I am the program manager here at the Northwest Commission APEX Accelerator. We're located in Northwest Pennsylvania, in the county of Venango, and we cover 8 counties. Um, we're here today to talk to you about building a strong capability statement. It's in conjunction with our larger event slated for December 2nd and 3rd, the Tri-State Apex Accelerator Mega Matchmaker. This is a totally virtual event, which started back in 2020 during COVID when everything got canceled and shut down and we could not show up in person. So some Apex Accelerator, my colleagues out of Pennsylvania, the rest of Pennsylvania, Ohio, and New York. We brought our resources together to conduct this for the first time ever, one of the largest virtual matchmaking events in the United States. This will be our 6th year. So this today is basically a prep session to help you get prepared for that. Our Apex Accelerator Center put together a series of prep sessions a few years ago. We decided to start doing this. One of the reasons we did is because we found out a lot of our companies did not know how to participate in a virtual event. So we brought these prep sessions together. Today is the second of 3 that will help you get ready for this matchmaking event with the hopes of making it very easier and more successful. Our 3rd session is next Wednesday, October 29th, and it'll be at the same time as today. Luke Webb, one of our government contracting specialists, will provide the audience with some tips on how to prepare to meet with that government buyer. But today's focus is on a capability statement, putting one of those together. Here's kind of what it will look like today. We only have about an hour. So if you have questions, please feel free to put that in the chat. I believe the Q&A should be working. I know past presentations, we could not get that Q&A to work. So wherever you want to put the question. You should have the availability to unmute yourself and ask a question. If you don't feel like putting it in the chat, you just want to ask the question, which sometimes makes it a little easier. That is fine as well. So we'll get to those questions. If you want to hold off to the end, feel free. And Melissa Becker, my government contracting specialist, and Luke will also be answering questions in the chat and Q&A as we go on. So you can put those in there as we move forward today. So I will just briefly talk a little bit about an Apex Accelerator. I'm not going to do a whole long spiel on the program, but I wanted to give you an overview just in case you are not currently working with your Apex Accelerator. We are located all over the United States and great benefits. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Then we're going to dive into our topic for today. What is a capability statement? The importance of a capability statement, some steps that you need to take before you put one together. I will show you what content needs to be on there, some examples. I will talk about some designing elements that are important, and then some other important tips for you. So a little bit about the APEX Accelerator. We are a nationwide network of procurement professionals that help local businesses compete successfully in the government marketplace. Our 90 plus accelerators operate in more than 300 offices as we bridge the gap between help you bridge the gap between the buyer and the supplier. The result is to increase business participation that delivers leading solutions to the military and to other government users. The APEX Accelerator program is now under the Department of Defense's Office of Small Business Programs. This was a recent change in the last few years. We used to be called Procurement Technical Assistance Centers, or better known as PTACs. We were under the Defense Logistics Agency, but now we are in the Pentagon, and you will see our new logo here, APEX Accelerator, which I think is really cool because in the X of this new logo, you will see an image of the Pentagon. We play a critical role in the department's efforts to identify and engage with a wide range of businesses entering and participating in the defense supply chain. The program provides the education and training that all businesses need to participate to become capable of participating in the DoD and other government contracts. So if you're a little tech savvy, you can take your camera and actually take a picture of this, or take your camera and it'll actually populate a link that'll take you to our national website. And this will take you to a place where you can identify your APEX Accelerator by that serves the location where your company is located. You would begin by searching by the state and then narrow down your results by county. This will help ensure you are connected with the appropriate regional office and that can provide you tailored support and services. Even if you want to do business in a different state, you will always work with the APEX Accelerator that's located in your backyard. We all have prearranged contracts with the Department of Defense to serve specific regions. The Northwest Commission APEX Accelerator, we serve 8 counties from Erie, Crawford, Warren, Forest, Clarion, Mercer, Clarion, did I say Clarion? Crawford. There's 8 counties, and Lawrence County, I think I might have missed that one, in our region. So if you're located in those 8 counties, then we can serve you. Melissa Becker, myself, and Luke Webb, we are the counselors in that area. If you reach out to one of us and we do not serve that region, we will be very happy to assist you in getting connected to that appropriate center. No worries. And we are all of our services are free, so take advantage of this. So here is a new mission statement that the Department of Defense has put up for us now with our new logo, our new name. But basically, our new mission is to really help the Department of Defense increase the defense industrial base in the regions that we serve. The DoD, Department of Defense, has seen a huge decrease, about a 40% in the last decade, in the number of businesses doing business with the government. The contract dollars are going up, but the number of businesses that are getting those contracts has gone down. So it is our job to help bring those numbers back up. Why are APEX accelerators needed? Well, with all the complicated systems such as registrations, certifications, finding opportunities, and those regulations, there's a huge learning curve, especially if you are new to government contracting. This takes on a huge time and financial commitment, whether you hire someone to be in charge of your GovCon efforts or you do it yourself. We are here to train you and your employees. Just even this week, I met with a client who's been doing business with the government for years, and a system that she's never been in. She's smart enough to get in that system and do it herself, but it's a little bit daunting at first. So we can help her save time and money by just going in and just having a virtual meeting with her and just showing her exactly where to go. We really do help break down the barriers to entry. We save that time and money. Even if your company has a history of doing business, again, with the government or as a prime or even a sub, the government changes its systems, its rules, its regulations from time to time, and your APEX Accelerator is trained to stay on top of the latest and greatest information. So why not work with us? We are one of the best tools in your toolkit. I will guarantee that. And if I don't know the answer, one of my staff doesn't know the answer, we have approximately 700 colleagues across the nation that are out there and who might know that answer, and we can reach them. I call them my phone a friends. So use your APEX Accelerator. Again, we are free if I didn't say that before. So let's move on to the topic of today. And what is a capability statement? It is concise, professional document that introduces your business and highlights why potential customers, especially government agencies, should work with you. It should help you communicate key information to decision makers, showcase your business's core competencies and offerings, demonstrates qualifications, experience, and past performance, differentiates your company from your competitors. It mitigates risk for government agencies and prime contractors. It shows you understand the government contracting language and processes. Your capability statement should convey a message that your company's value and reliability, your readiness to meet the government needs, and your understanding of the targeted market and procurement process. There are three types of capability statements. There is the general capability statement, which is typically used for websites, email introductions, and a broad outreach. It usually provides a high-level overview of your company's capabilities, and it's ideal for initial engagement and visibility. The second type is an agency-tailored capability statement. It's more customized for specific government agencies or matchmaking events, which we're going to talk about today. It highlights the relevant experience, certifications, and past performance, and aligns with the agency's mission and procurement needs. And the third type of a capability statement is the solicitation-specific capability statement. This is created in a response to a request for information that you might see, a source is sought, or even a solicitation. And the information in those notifications will give you the direct instructions on what needs to be in that capability statement, and it should directly address the scope requirements and the evaluation criteria, demonstrates your ability to fulfill a specific contract opportunity. And these aren't the requests for information or sources sought are not an actual bidding opportunity. The government does their market research. They might be just out looking to find out who is out there to fulfill this opportunity. So they don't turn it into a solicitation until they get some of their market research done. So for today, we are really talking about that agency-specific one because we are getting you prepped for our Tri-State APEX Accelerator Mega Matchmaker. Here is a slide from our website where you can go to register for this big event that's taking place on December 2nd and 3rd from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on both days. You'll see right here, there's 4 places for you to upload a brochure. You can upload your logo and a profile picture, and then you will upload your capability statement. So the buyers, I actually just got off a call with a large prime contractor who is asking for my help because they are going to participate in this matchmaking event, and they wanted to know how can they make their profile better? How can they find qualified suppliers? And I gave her a bunch of ideas of what to do. And I told her, I said, go to these profiles of these smaller businesses and upload their capability or download their capability statement and take a look to see if they have what you are looking for. So believe it or not, they will be going and looking to make sure you have that there, and they will be downloading those capes statements and putting them in their files. So it is really important that you have something good on here. So before you start, let's gather the appropriate information that is needed for a capability statement. Some of this stuff you probably already have, but we just like to make sure you are aware. These are the certain things that you'll need to do. One is, of course, if you're doing business with the federal government, whether you are a prime or a sub, you will need to have a SAM registration, and you'll need to be active because, believe it or not, these primes will go to make sure, if you say you have a cage code and a UEI, you want to make sure that it's in an active status. SAM is free to register. Beware of all these third-party scammers that are out there trying to take you for $600. I've even seen it up to $2,000 for them to do your SAM registration for you. To me, it's very criminal. They're taking advantage of businesses, and we help you for free. So here's the website that you would go to, and again, We can help you through that, especially for the first time going through SAM. It's a little bit complicated, a little daunting. So reach out to your Apex Accelerator. We'll get you through it. And again, remember, it's about saving time and money. And that's why Apex Accelerators are needed. And we love to do it. We love to help you with this. Next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find your NAICS codes. And NAICS is pronounced NAICS, NAICS, Nakes. A lot of people mispronounce that name, and I like to just make it put it on here to a pronunciation so people understand what it is called, because the government will be asking you for your NAICS codes, and some people call it NICS codes, but it is pronounced NAICS. These are used by the government for specific opportunities. Standard for classifying business products and services. All industries have at least one or more NAICS codes, and it is recommended that you put a maximum of 5, anywhere from 3 to 5 NAICS codes. Specifically, if you're doing this agency specific capability statement, because remember, you are going to tailor this capability statement towards the prime that you are looking to do business with, or that agency. So you do not want to have 20 NAICS codes listed on your capability statement, because it's probably not necessary. And also a lot of these people that are companies that, especially the one I was working with today, she's brand new to attending some of these events. She might not have an understanding of all these NAICS codes. So a few is great. And then maybe also put the definition of each of those NAICS codes beside the NAICS code when you list it on your capability statement, just to give a brief description so that when they're reading this, they're understanding, oh, this is what this NAICS code is. This is what this company does. Normally, they should know what they're looking at, but just in case they're brand new, it'd be good to spell that out. Here is a website, the Census Bureau, that you can go to search for your NAICS code. If you are having difficulties finding the appropriate ones, reach out to your Apex Accelerator. We can assist you with that. One of the things that we like to do is go into some of the government bases, not just this one here, but some of where the procurement history is being it's being out there for the public to look at. We like to look at that to see what NAICS codes the governments are using in your industry. So we'll try to put that together. Also, you'll want to look at your select some of your PSC codes, product service codes. Here is where you would go, and I don't see a link on here, and maybe I'll have to make sure I put that on there before I send the slide deck out. But anyway, that you would go to the Outreach Systems product service code site, and you can pick out PSCs and your federal supply class codes. Federal supply class and PSCs are similar. They're 4-digit codes. For the FSCs, that is the first 4 digits of an NSN, which is a product code that the military uses. And then I always like to give my clients this, and there's no link to this. I'll make sure I put the links in there before I send this out to you guys. But this is the H2 handbook. This handbook has more definitions for those federal supply class codes that are very important, and you'll most likely want to pick out a few. Again, if you're having problems finding these, ask your Apex Accelerator, and we can assist you. Oh, you know what? I'm seeing that it's right here. See if that is on it. It's just not on this one. Okay. It's just really dark. But this is a hyperlink right here, right to this handbook. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the content that needs to go on your capability statement. First, you need your contact information, very important, your core competencies, differentiators, past performance, company data, and then we're going to go through each of these. I'm going to give you examples of each of what these pertains to in each of these sections, and then a list of pertinent codes and data. These are key elements that the government agencies or prime contractors, what they'll expect to see on this document. So it's important that you have at least the minimum of this information on there. So let's talk a little bit about the contact information. So this is kind of a template here of a capability statement. You'll want your name. Highly suggest that you put your website and make it a hyperlink. So when you are getting this prepared and to put this on the virtual event Tri-State Mega Matchmaker portal, make sure that that link is a hyperlink and that it's hot, and then they can just click on it and go to um, your website. You want your phone number, an address. It is highly recommended that you put your contact person's name and phone number on there. And I recently heard another suggestion that you should have an alternate person named on your capability statement, because if you are on vacation, or perhaps, hate to say, if you're in the hospital or something, the government wants to know that somebody's still running your business. So you need to have an alternate person put on that capability statement. And then you also want to put your logo. You want to color this up to make it, color match, use your branding colors. Don't make it just black and white. You want to make it look really, really nice, and use your company colors if you have them. Be sure to label this document a capability statement. Make sure it's located at the top, and make sure each of your sections um, are named or labeled so that the person, the reviewer that's looking at this, can go directly to those sections if they're looking for something specific and they know exactly, okay, this is their past performance section. So make sure that they are labeled. Let's talk a little bit about your core competencies. Again, this is a part right here. This also could be called your capabilities, your core capabilities. These are things that your company does best. It's basically your sales pitch, short introduction of your company's core competency that relates to the agency or the prime that you are targeted. Remember, this capability statement is the second one of the three that we talked about. That little core competency should be something after you've done your research, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. Um, you're going to know that this agency or this prime, they're looking for a company who can do this. So you really want to showcase those talents with this tailored section. And you want to use strong keywords, and also you could use bullets in here as well. And this is not something that's going to be very wordy. It's going to be something very concise, very easy to read. Your core companies section, it's a living, this document, capability statement, is a living document that will change depending, again, on that targeted agency. Why is this? Each agency has its own mission and focus, and your capability statement should speak directly to the targeted agency. And I'm going to give you an example. That the company's core competencies that you see, the big green arrow here, should match that agency's mission or specific opportunity. And you're going to know this by looking at their profile. Each of these agencies and primes will have a profile also listed on the Tri-State Mega Matchmaker website or on the portal. So you'll want to go, and that's how you're going to do some of your research to find out who's going to be there. And they're going to list some NAICS codes that they're interested in. They might have some other important information. They're going to have their website. They may have a brochure for you to download, and you're going to do your homework and research. Go to everything you can find on that agency or prime to find out what their problems are, their issues are. And so, using my example here, the Army Corps has a lot of civil construction opportunities, and they have heavy and civil engineering construction. McCluskey Excavation LLC. This is my example company. They specialize in more than just this type of construction. But the Army Corps is currently in need of someone with civil construction. They listed that on their profile, that they are looking for contractors that can do specific work. So McCluskey has tailored their capability statement to what the Army Corps is currently buying. I usually compare this to, if you're going after a job interview and you had to put a resume together for this job interview. One of the things, I used to teach resume classes a long time ago, and one of the things that I recommend to somebody who's putting a resume together is to look at the job description. You may have lots of years of experience in all these different qualifications, but the job interview is spelling, or the job description is spelling out, these are the key things, that qualifications we want in this candidate. So you would tailor your resume to match that job description. So let's move on to the differentiator section. This can be defined as the business attributes and or unique value that clearly separates you from the competition in a particular marketplace. So you want to ask yourself the following questions when you're putting together your differentiator section. Why did your biggest customer want you? What was something that the only reason they came to you is because you did what? How and why is your company the best choice? What is it about your employees? Your employees are a huge factor. You might have somebody on your team that has so much experience in something that this agency or this prime is looking for. So, what is it about your employees that gives you an advantage over your competitors? And how do you solve unique problems for customers? Again, you're going to be doing some research on the agency or the prime that you are targeting, and maybe you found out they are having issues with suppliers because they can't do this or they can't do that. Maybe your company has something that you can solve a unique problem for. And these really do stand out. I just got off the phone with a large prime who is looking for a specific need in a supplier, and they're having a rough time doing that. So they're going to the matchmaking event in December to look for suppliers that have this special uniqueness about them. So make sure you are researching to find out what that is. So if you have a product, if you sell a product, here's some examples. You have added features. Maybe it's made with a special material. And an example of that is the Navy is always having issues with specific products that corrode. Your company can resolve this issue by using a specific type of metal that is corrosive and wear resistant. Um, here's a service. Here's some of the services. You have quality assurance, installation, special equipment, delivery of service. You have a certified specialist. Um, or perhaps maybe your company is located near a major highway or a waterway that makes your logistics more manageable or easily accessible to an agency. Here's an example of this. This is something that happened some years ago. Our APEX Accelerator got a message from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. They are in control of all the large dam gates, all the large dams in the United States, all the waterways, and they were having problems finding a company who could make a dam gate. These gates are very large, and no one had a facility big enough to make these gates, and no one could figure out a way to transport the gate when it was finished and ready to transport. So they looked all over the country trying to find somebody, and I believe they did find somebody that was located a company that was near the Mississippi River because they were able to transport that easily. But maybe you have a problem. You know, or a solution for an agency that that's something I'm not listing right now. But think about all the things that you can do that you've solved problems before for your clients. So keep that all in mind when you're putting this section together. Are you cybersecurity CMMC compliant? This is another thing that's going down right now. Defense contractors must have cybersecurity. And as of November 10th, CMMC, which is the third-party certification. This is to prove that you have your cybersecurity in place. These are going in contracts on November 10th. So if you are already certified or you are in compliance with cybersecurity, you want to make sure you put that on there on this differentiator section because this is something that the contractors are looking for. You do not want to list your level of cybersecurity because there are 3 levels. Just put that you're cyber compliant, DFARS compliant on that capability statement because this is if you are putting your levels, you're at a level 1. And you list that on your capability statement, and this capability statement happens to get to somebody that shouldn't see it, like one of our adversaries, then you just gave them an alert that you are only at a level 1. So don't put your level 1 there is what I'm going to recommend. Just put that you were in compliance. Some other things that you might want to put on there. your location, your geographical area, some trainings that your certifications that you have, AS AS 9100 or ISO 9000 is important. Maybe you have specific working partnerships and relationships with other primes, experience, your capabilities. How do these relate to your targeted agency, your prime, or team? So those are just some things to think about. Remember that differentiator section must meet three important principles. It must be true information. You can't lie. You can't fabricate this information or elaborate, make it something that it's not. It must be important to the potential clients and it must be provable. You can't simply make it up. If you don't have it, then what's the point of putting on there? If you can't demonstrate that it's true, it won't be believed. The differentiator section is not a place to put your social economic certifications that you're woman-owned, minority-owned, or veteran-owned. This is not a place to put that. There are other sections on your CAPE statement, and we will talk about that. Do not put vague statements like we are the best in class or world class. This doesn't mean anything to the contracting officers because you have to remember the three roles. You have to prove it. How do you prove that you're the best class? Did you win some kind of an award? Um, it really doesn't make sense to put those kinds of statements on there. Um, and this is not a place to put your years of experience on here. Here's an example of a differentiator section. Can't say that. I'm going to take a drink of water. Our company has the largest painting and media blasting booth in Northwest Pennsylvania. Our paint booth is 20 feet wide by 55 feet long, 14 inches tall. Our sand and media blasting booth is 20 feet wide by 70 long and by 16 feet tall. Bottom line, we can sandblast and paint anything that can be transported. Remember, this information must be provable. So when you are meeting with face-to-face with a government, which you will be doing through the virtual matchmaking event, make sure you can back all this information up. Tips, this information that you're putting on here, it could be stuff that's hard for your competitors to copy because you are unique. Identify your company's key internal strengths. Moving on to the past performance section. You'll need to provide 3 or 4 agencies or customers you have done business with, starting with those in as similar to the targeted agency as possible. So the example of the U.S. Army Corps, you'll want to make sure that you have provide experience on those types of companies or capabilities that they're looking for. If you haven't done other federal work or provide some of your state and local work, and then if you don't have any of that, then I would recommend that you provide your commercial references that are on there. Begin by listing your past customers for whom your business has done similar work. Prioritize starting with the related agencies. List all federal or other government work, and finally to your commercial contracts. If the past projects do not relate to your targeted agency's needs, do not list them. Ideally, include specific contact information for each that may be the immediate needs. May not be. May not always be permitted. Check with your contact first before you list your references on there. Again, you'll want to make sure that you're listing things that are related to that targeted agency. If you are going after, so I'm going to highly recommend when you're looking at these agencies you want to target, so you'll look at your past performance and see, do I have related past performance to this agency? If you don't, then why would you be going after them? Why would you be targeting them? So your goal is really to get your foot in the door with some of these agencies. Your goal is also, to find out from these agencies when you're participating, what other things do you need to have in place? You might have some past experience. But maybe you don't have something else that they're looking for. So it really is a little bit of a mix of everything that you're going to need. But don't target somebody if you don't have any experience. So again, here's an example. If your company is an excavating company and you have experience in the oil and gas industry, but the agency you are targeting is the U.S. Army Corps, mostly dams and water. I highly suggest while performing on specific jobs, follow up with the contracting officer or the contact on these jobs that your past performance jobs, ask them for permission to use their contact information on your capability statement. Gather this information and keep it for future. So we highly recommend that you keep some kind of a log, a book, um, with all the details of the contact person's name. Um, if there's a way that you can quantify what your past performance is, use metrics and stats, numbers such as we have cut over 1,000 acres of trees during the 5-year period. That would be something very important to put on your past performance. Or we have manufactured over 20 million parts for the car industry, etc. So if you can use quantified measures or stats, that looks really good because then they're going to ask you about that. Remember, it has to be true too. So here's some examples of past performances that I kind of pulled from some capability statements that I found online. Now, I could not find one that I totally liked, like the whole entire capability statement when we tried to recommend what it should look like. But here's some examples. This first one here was one that I really did like because they listed the name of the job, the contract value, the contract number, period of performance, and the scope of work. And that scope of work should again match, the agency that you're looking at. You may also want to put a contact name in here as well. Here's some other ones that they bulleted some of their past performances, but they didn't really list the contract value. And I know contracting officers like to see all of this information. So the more information you can put in there, the better. But I like this one here too, the first one, because it's easy to read. When you're going to hear me talk about this later, when you're putting something like this together, put yourself in the shoes of the reviewer. Um, does it make sense? Is it easy to read? Because they're busy. They don't have time to go. See, if you look at this one down here, there's a lot of information in here. This one kind of spells it out. It makes it very easy for them to read. So I highly recommend this first example rather than these other two. So let's now move on to the section called company data, or this could also be called corporate data or business information. Provide a sentence or two describing your company's history, the size of the firm, your financial stability, which is very important to a lot of primes and to the agencies. If your company is on the brink of bankruptcy, you may want to not, highly suggest you don't go into government contracting for one thing. Don't use government contracting as a way to bail you out. So you want to be definitely financially stable. A lot of agencies will use a post-award survey they will give you if you do win a contract with them. Because you were the lowest bidder on a contract, they may ask you to fill out a post-award survey, which will include information they would want to know what your finances are like. So just wanted to give that heads up. They might ask you about your number of employees, teams, any kind of joint ventures that you're in. Maybe you are a part of a mentor protege. And they might want to look at the geographical area that you serve. So you might want to also put that your area of where you serve. The next section is a list of pertinent codes and data. This is the place where you will put your UEI, which is something that's very important to the government. They want to know that you are already registered in SAM, and they want to know your cage code. And again, we want to put NAICS codes on there, a reasonable number only, my example here says fewer than 15, but the recent advice that I received from government was if you're doing a targeted one, around 5 NAICS codes is probably enough. This is a place where you can put your social economic certifications. You can, if you're an 8A, if you're hub zone, service disabled veteran, a woman owned, this is a place where you would put this information. Do you accept credit cards. This is important because the government, if you have a product or service and they're purchasing this under that micro purchase threshold, which is $15,000 now, if it's under that, they can just use their purchase card. They don't have to put it out. They don't have to put it on SAM. They can just reach out to you and say, "Hey, we need this information. We need these products or services," and they can use their purchase card to buy that. So very important. If you have a GSA schedule, you would want to put your GSA contract number on here. That's very important to them. Here's a place where you can put your product service codes or your FSC codes that we talked about earlier. If you have any state cooperative purchasing programs you're involved in, like for the state of Pennsylvania, there's an ITQ or CoStars. Again, if you are targeting a federal agency or prime, you would not want to list co-stars or your state information because it's not a value to them. They don't really even know what a co-stars is. But if you're targeting a state agency or a state prime contractor who's doing state work, then co-stars and ITQ stuff might be important for you to put on there. And then if you have a social economic certification that is states that is accepted by the state agencies, then you would want to list those ones like a WBE or an MBE. And maybe you're on some other federal contracting vehicles. Maybe you're on some other BPAs or other federal contract numbers. Again, important T meaning JCP, joint ventures or mentor protege agreements. Those will be important to put on here as well. Something that I always like to mention to companies is because I've seen this done. This is not a place. You do not want to put your federal employer identification, your FEIN or EI, however you say it, the EIN. Do not put this information or your social security number. I've seen people put their social security number on a capability statement. It is not necessary. It is not needed. All you need is your UEI or your cage code. So be very, very careful before you do that. So let's talk a little bit about designing elements. I think this is so important. Again, I used to teach a resume writing class, and I've done a lot of research on designing elements and how to put something together where a reviewer can look at that and not get blinded. So one of the things is you want to use different fonts that are easy to read. So here's two examples. The example on the right is very hard to read. They used bolded letters. Believe it or not, I have seen people put capability statements. They use this entire font to put that together, and it's so hard to read. And there are studies out there that show using these types of fonts, it's really bad on the eyes for the reviewer, and they have a hard time adjusting to it. So if you use something that like this, like an Arial font, I have some examples on the next slide. But just put yourselves again in the shoes of the reviewer. Which one of these looks better to read? It's the same information on both sides. One looks better than the other and is easier to read. Here's what's usually recommended, the different fonts. If your CAPE statement looks messy, then it could reflect on how the reviewer looks at your company. You're messy and unorganized if you're using all this messy font sizes or cramming everything together. Use your company's logo and branding colors. I'd mentioned that earlier. Do not use long paragraphs. Bullets are best because remember, these reviewers, these customers that you're trying to target are busy and they're trying to get through these as fast because they're going to get plenty of them through the Tri-State Mega Matchmaker event. They're going to get lots. So the easier it is for you to read, the better. Don't jam information together. Make use of white space. Don't be too wordy. It is highly recommended that you only use one page, no more than the front and back. However, I'm going to go a little bit against. I have heard new information on this, new recommendations on this. The one page came back in a day when we met in person, and if you had more than one page, you were giving the companies would have to take these back to their agencies or their organizations, and then they would have to scan this information into a file, or they maybe they would make copies, paper copies, that go back to their offices and make paper copies and give it to the end users. But now in the days of electronics, more than one page is okay. I wouldn't go to more than 2 pages, no more than 2 pages. But if you're going to have a capability statement that you want to put on your website, you could actually do more than 2 pages on there. But for this kind of an event, the agencies are going to be downloading a document. So I would say I would highly recommend no more than two for that. So you know, but everything these days is electronic, so they actually can send that over to some their end users through an email. Use a designing graphics company. If you don't have the capabilities, you don't have the talents of putting something like this together, I highly recommend that you hire a designing graphics company to help you put a capability statement together. Maybe you put all your information, give them all the information, and then they put it in a design that makes sense. Or maybe you can't, maybe you don't have the funds to do that right now. Maybe hire a marketing or communication intern from a local university or college. They love to do things like this. They love to do projects like this. You might not even have to pay them. They might do it as a special project for a class. But what's going to hurt just to hire somebody? Reach out to your local universities and see if they have some marketing and communication interns that would be interested in doing this. Remember to save your document as a Word document so that you can change it easily, and then you will always want to change it into a PDF format when you send it out electronically. Because remember, this is a living document, and if you are tailoring different agencies and organizations, then you want to be able to have the same design, but you'll put different words in different sections again to tailor towards that agency. 3 important tips when tailoring your capability statement. Remember to use the government's language. Look at previous contracts in the industry. If you need help with this, your APEX Accelerator can help you. So just for an example, um, you might call your company a landscaping company, but the government uses groundskeeping instead of landscaping. I very rarely see landscaping used in the government language. Um, the government also uses the word site prep instead of excavation. So you want to make sure you're looking at the government's language and to put on this CAPE statement. Again, try your best to match your past performance with that targeted agency or prime, and then find out what the needs of the agency or prime is before you meet, and to indicate on your capability statement that you have the equipment, services needed to fix their problem, and or the need to provide the information that will outshine your competitors. We see this all the time. A lot of companies will be going after a project or a bidding opportunity, and we notice that the competitor, the incumbent on the contract, it was a 5-year contract, but they lost the contract in a year. They were let go because of not performing well on that contract. So sometimes you might want to have a conversation to find out what happened and find out if you can solve the issues, and then go after that bidding opportunity. Again, other important information. Again, I'm going to say it over again. Have a tailored capability statement for each agency. Have a general one just on hand, just in case. I wouldn't highly recommend this. Well, you only have on the Tri-State Mega Matchmaker, you only have a placeholder for one capability statement. You could put two up there if you wanted to put it under the brochure and just label them. So under brochure, you have a capability statement of another other or specific capabilities, and then under your other capability statement slide or place where you can upload, you can label it something different. I didn't think of that till just now, but yeah, there is only one place for you to have your capability statement. So again, if you are targeting agencies on their primes, have the one that you're targeting, have that one uploaded to the system. because really we're conducting this Tri-State Mega Matchmaker every year, and we hope to have it every year. So maybe next year you're going to target a different agency or prime. So this year, whoever you after you do your research, whoever you're targeting, that's the one you want to upload to the system. Again, review their websites. Google, do the news headlines. Google like the agency or the prime that you're looking at. Like, what if it's Northrop Grumman or Lockheed Martin? Um, just Google their name and find out, what kinds of articles are out there within your industry. Check out their forecast. Each agency has a forecast website. If you need that, it is the acquisition.gov procurement forecast. You can go in there and find out what their forecasts are. And then you can also look on SAM under contracting opportunities. Um, okay. So here's an important thing that I like to bring to your attention. Is it okay to use an agency's logo? And there's a lot of controversy about whether this is good or not. You are not permitted to use a federal agency's logo without their written permission. Everybody's doing it though. But it is against the law for you to use a federal agency's logo on yours. So if you've had past performance with the Department of Defense, you cannot use their logo. We can't even use their logo without permission. And we work for the Department of Defense. But you could use the old standby while everybody else is doing it. Well, you know what? I've recently found out that agencies frown upon that, and it definitely impacts their consideration of that company for future opportunities. So if they're looking at your capability statement and they see you have a logo on there and their logo on there, it's gonna be not a good thing, a good impact when they look at that. Or you could say, I didn't know. But use your gut. Would you allow somebody else to use your company logo without your permission? If you saw that maybe you teamed up with another company a long time ago and they're using your logo without your permission, how would you feel? I mean, you might be okay with that, but maybe somebody's using it who you did not work with, but they just stole it from your website and they're using it. So kind of think about that when you're putting this together. Contractors should always do your research before you put stuff like this together. Some other things to consider, put yourself in the eyes of the reviewer. I have mentioned this before. Have someone review your draft to look for common mistakes. This is something that I have a hard time doing because I don't like someone to define my mistakes, but it is really, really important. Have your wife, have your husband, have your child, teenage child, maybe look at your a draft of it because they'll find mistakes that maybe you were just overlooking. Have a colleague, maybe somebody else in your company take a look at this. Is your capability statement easy to understand? You want to place your capability statement on your website. And again, you want to use the government's technology. Doing business with the government is highly competitive. So just don't throw something together. Take the time, make the effort, and put in the extra miles to create the best capability statement ever. Again, your Apex Accelerator counselor, we're always available to be a second set of eyes to review your client, to review your capability statement. So we do this for clients all the time. And another thing that's something important is something kind of new. You can put your capability statement on the Small Business Administration's. It used to be known as the Dynamic Small Business Search. It is now called the Small Business Search, SBA, SBS. Here's a link to that website. So if you don't know this, when you register in SAM, all companies wanting to do business with the federal government, whether you're large, small, minority owned, will be on SAM and your profile will be on there. However, if you are a small business, your information gets put over to the Small Business Administration's website. It's linked right over. And then we highly recommend that you go on this site. Your Apex Accelerator can help you go on there and put more stuff on your profile. And one of the things that you can do on this site is you can add your capability statement. This is something brand new. And here it is a place where you could upload your capability statement. Now, this, I believe, has to be a hyperlink. So you would have to have this capability statement on your website or somewhere on a URL somewhere, and then you would attach that URL to this capability statement. I believe that's still how it is. I don't believe you can actually upload a PDF document on there. So that is all I have for today. Do we have any questions? I'm going to open it up to the audience. I see we have maybe something in the chat. Oh, somebody said that the QR code has been deactivated. You will get a copy of these slides, and Melissa also put it in the chat. Thank you, Melissa. I guess I'll have to take a look at that. I don't know what happened. Okay, very cool. Yeah, everyone will get these slides. So, and all the links that are in the slides, they're all hyperlinks. I see that Stephen has a question. Stephen, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, I was actually just about to ask if there was going to be a link provided because I wanted to go over this with my compliance team and my marketing team to put together a cap statement.
Okay, awesome. Good. Thanks for joining us today. Anyone else have questions? Not seeing anything. Melissa, did you see anything in the chat that I might have missed or that you wanted me to answer?
Luke and I have been following along and I haven't seen any other questions or in the Q&A.
Okay. Again, so we have another prep session next Wednesday. My colleague and staff, Luke Webb, he will be providing some information on how to prepare for that meeting with those large primes and government agencies. He's going to give you some tips on that, and that is next Wednesday, the 29th, and it'll be at 11. If you did not get registered for that and you would like to attend, please let us know. We can get you that information. Oh, Melissa provided the registration link in the chat. Thank you, Melissa. You're on top of it.
You're welcome.
That's great. And then again, reach out to your Apex Accelerator counselor. If you know today wasn't you have more questions about the capability statement, and you have more questions about the portal or just getting prepared for this, please reach out to us. It's very important to me. I started this Tri-State Matchmaker back in the day, back in 2020. This was the Northwest Commission's baby. It is now in three states. We work together with 3 different states, and we use our funding from the Department of Defense to put on this event. And what we are seeing in this Northwest Pennsylvania, we don't get many participants. I'm going to say maybe 20 some participants from our region. And we use a lot of our funding to support this. So if you know somebody that should be taking advantage of this event, or maybe you're not comfortable yet participating in a virtual event, it's really easy. It's so easy. It's just like you got on this training with us today. It's just like that. And you're meeting face to face with these buyers. How easy. We used to do this in person up in Erie, called the Dinette event. We did it for years. And we had a hard time getting the agencies and the primes to come to Erie, Pennsylvania to participate in person. So now we have been very successful. Last year we had 80 buyers that were online for you to talk to. So it's incredible, and we're building every year. Now this year, I do want to give you a forewarning because of the government shutdown. We only have 21 buyers that are all currently registered to participate, and that is because of the shutdown. We're hoping once the shutdown is over with, we're going to get them to participate. But right now, it's kind of a scary moment, but for us. But if we have to, we may have to postpone the event. I hope not. I hope that we can keep this going. But it is a very important event. It's a time for you to learn. A time for you. You're not going to get a contract with the government on December 2nd and 3rd, but I just met with this large buyer today, and I gave her some suggestions. I said, have an open mind when meeting with some of these small businesses. I know you are looking for a certain small business. I said, perhaps use this as an educational moment to create a pipeline later on in years by giving these smaller businesses, giving them something to work towards. and she was open to that idea. She thought that was a great idea. So hopefully we can get other primes to think about just making this about being educational, um, so that they can create pipelines of great qualified suppliers.
Hey, Robyn, this is
Yes.
Steve again. I have a question. So I have a territory. It's about 15 states in the Northeast,
Okay.
and I'm interested in, you know, being affiliated through Apex Accelerator for my whole territory. Is there like a regional, or is this every state? Like, how's that play out, I
So
guess?
yeah, each of your offices, like wherever they're located, they can reach out to the Apex Accelerator that's located in their region. Yeah, we can, it doesn't have to be your headquarters. So like if you say you have an office here in Northwest Pennsylvania, we can work with that local office. And then your other local office is within you said 15 states. Um,
Correct.
yeah, each state and each county, like our Apex Accelerator here in Pennsylvania, we have we go by region. So there are, I believe, 6 cooperative agreements with the Department of Defense. And so every county in Pennsylvania is covered with an Apex Accelerator. We're very lucky here in Pennsylvania. Some states may only have a state center, but they have maybe some sister offices, satellite offices, something like that. So use that link that Melissa provided to go to the national website with the Department of Defense and locate the state, and then locate by county where what office we want to work with. So um, does
Thank
that
you.
answer your question?
Yeah, we're a kind of a hybrid OEM manufacturer in the electrical industry. So I'm really trying to network through some smaller entities that we can, you know, build relationships with, and then they're going to pass that final, product on to the government.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's what I would suggest.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else out there? I'm not seeing any more hands.
Brittany had a question about just in general doing government contracting. She's worried she's too small as a sole prop.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Um, Brittany, it really just depends on your capabilities. You might not be too small. Um, if you work with your local Apex Accelerator, we can show you the market and what's out there, and then we help you narrow it down, try to find the opportunities that fit you best, and then we determine within those bidding opportunities, whether you have the qualifications, and but you might be able to team. We might be able to get you connected with other partners that are going after bigger contracts. Maybe you just have one qualification, and another company is looking for someone like you to team with. So it just really depends. So you definitely work with your Apex Accelerator. That's what we're here for, is to help you find those teaming partners. And
Yeah, definitely my suggestion. And we always say, that subcontracting, finding those opportunities is a good way in the door.
yes, exactly.
And there is an event, if it's still being if it still stays on schedule in November, about subcontracting as a marketing strategy for entering the government contracting market.
All right. Well, I think that might be all. I want to thank everyone again. We will have a recording of this. It should come out to you automatically, but it will also be located on the Tri-State Mega Matchmaker website under the pre-recorded meetings. That will be on there. So if you want to go back to it to review what we just did, and I will be sending out slides here soon. So I want to thank you again for coming and joining us today. And again, good luck at the Tri-State Mega Matchmaker event. We are excited to hear if you attended and you would like to give us some feedback. Please feel free to reach out to us and let us know how it went. We'd appreciate that. So your feedback makes this important. All right. Thank you. Thanks, Stephen. All right, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you.
You too. Thank you.
Okay.